I mean, yeah, there's kind of a bunch of the most exciting one that's, kind of it's not like getting hassled. I mean, it is one of those things of I don't know. I'm like one of those people that's been allowed to get away with all sorts of stuff. So one time, like the police came up to me and they're like, "Oh, you're not supposed to be selling here." And I was like, "I'm just giving these away." And they're like, "Giving them away?" I was like, "You guys can have some." They're like, "Okay, all right, give us some." And then they like walked on. I was like, but I'd usually be like, "I'm from Iowa." I was selling like Jon Stewart for President T-shirts, and like I'm like right below TRL, like TRL, yeah, Total Request Live when that was on MTV, and people would gather around outside. And this woman comes up and she's like, "Oh my god, my boss would love these Jon Stewart for President T-shirts." And I was like, "Oh, who's your boss?" And she's like, "Jon Stewart." I was like, "Oh, crazy." And she's like, "Do you want to come to like a taping of the show later?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And she's like, "All right, well, it's 3 p.m. Here's the address." So I was like, "Awesome." So I went up to the address. I like stood there. I was giving like Jon Stewart for President shirts away to people who were waiting like in the audience. And then like the producer came out and yeah, she's like, "Yeah, come on, we only got you a seat." And so I sat like right off stage, like while they were like, while they're filming it, like if you've ever like watched a live taping of a show, like the studios are tiny. And so I'm sitting in like a folding chair, like just off to the side. And like Stephen Colbert, who was still on the show back then, this is before the Colbert Report, like sat down next to me. And then he stood up and like did his little spot in front of the green screen and then walked away. And you just like, this was back when I watched The Daily Show like twice a day. Like I'd watch it in the evening and I'd watch the rerun the next day. And so Jon Stewart was just like this larger than life figure. And the show is over, they're done taping, and then one of the people comes over and they're like, "Yeah, Jon wants to come over and say hi to you." And I was like, "Wow, this is crazy." And so Jon Stewart walks over, and I'm still standing by the folding chair. And I think because it was like Jon Stewart for President shirts, and I think this was like fall, late summer of 2004, so it's only a couple of months before the election. And he was like, "Yeah, I don't know if we have enough time to pull this thing off." And we said something else. I think I gave him my business card. He laughed at my title was sales czar. And he was like the nicest dude in the world. Like everyone on the show was so friendly. And they invited me back to watch like the live election coverage a few weeks later or whatever. And it's just it's one of those things if you remember, just to treat everybody with like courtesy. Because if you're Jon Stewart, you could have been like, "Yeah, hey, fucking beat it.